which lane are these heroes going to be put into? And whoa, that is a huge song for the first time, I think, in Iesf.
First time in Iesf, the Yuzong makes his debut here in Bali. Just some dive, I guess, dive potential from the side of Indonesia to stop Beatrix from free hitting, and obviously just threat that back line. Threaten the back line, as now we are going to be entering the second phase of the bans. Indonesia with the first ban. They're already looking towards.
Oke guys, jadi di sini kita akan nobar pertandingan Iesf Mobile Legends ya guys ya, antara Indonesia melawan Filipina. Ya di sini tim EVOS yang mewakili Indonesia ya guys ya di kancah internasional. Anjas EVOS cor badut.
Right now, we've seen a similar strategy, right? Faramis as well as the Kaja, but usually it's paired with an engage that can bring everyone together and allow that Kaja to have optimal damage output in those big fights. But now, for now at least, we haven't seen anything like that from the side of Indonesia. Leslie has been picked by the Philippines, so denying another sniper from Indonesia. And Lolita actually will be the ban for Indonesia. So maybe they are looking at a hero
like
with a lot of projectiles for now.
And I actually expected the Leslie to be picked up by Indonesia early on, right? The final pick of the first phase, the Yuzong, I expected it
nge-lag kameranya Min.
Leslie. But now because it has been left open, hasn't been picked up, Indonesia are going to have to start prioritizing Brands' hero here as they go for the ban towards the Paquito. Oh, 2 bans towards the XP lane, I do believe, with the Benedetta and the Paquito. Philippines still without a jungler, but I think Indonesia are just trying to take that Paquito away, knowing that it's a very good flex pick. And currently Philippines, they have the Fredrin, they have the Valentina. We've seen Wise play both Fredrin and Valentina in the jungle. So that's the threat that Indonesia really needs to think of constantly. And you can already see Philippines with a very smart approach through the second bans, trying to shut Brands down here with 2 marksman bans. Leslie and Claude, only the Irithel being ready, opened up here for Team Indonesia.
Kita share dulu guys.
Rashi. The Irithel up against the Beatrix here, up against so much dive as well. A lot of CC. Might be a risky pick
For the side of Indonesia.
But it is the best pick, in my opinion, looking at it right now, with all the bans.
Maybe something crazy will come up, but it definitely shows that the Philippines want to have advantage in the late game. That Leslie and Claude are both very late game heroes, so maybe Indonesia can throw a curveball and pick a very aggressive early game hero instead. But no, it will be the Melissa. It still has a lot of AoE and a lot of potential to push away all these heroes that can pose a threat to the roster, at least the backline of Indonesia. So a very counter-smart approach as well. But finally, Philippines are going to round out their team composition. It's going to be Lapu-Lapu. Will it be the signature as well?
You got to do it, man. You got to do it, man.
Do it. Come
Philippines hovering over the signature pick. The M3 Blacklist International skin. But they
Oke, di sini kita melihat susunan grafiknya guys ya. Di sini Filipina memakai Valentina, ada Fredrin, ada Lapu-Lapu, ada Beatrix dan ada Matilda guys ya. Untuk Indonesia ada Melissa, Kaja, Faramis dan Yuzong ya guys ya. Kasih paham gak sih? Kasih paham bro.
And now they are going to have to pick either a roamer or a jungler depending on where the Kaja is going to go.
They require some kind of crowd control, man. They have a lot of ways to actually facilitate their fights, but when it comes to forcing the Philippines into their own game, into fights that they want to take, it's going to be a bit difficult without any secure, and it will be the Gusion picked up. Hang on here. Let's take a very close look at the battle spells, because that will tell a very interesting story. Okay, all right.
It is going to be the Kaja in the roam, as we mentioned before. The flex potential for the Kaja. We've seen it in the mid lane yesterday. Now we're seeing it in the roam position with the Gusion in the jungle.
Wow.
Based on both of the drafts, Philippines with a bit of both. So both of the drafts has a lot of dimensions to play with, a lot of win conditions to play around, with the dive being there to pick as well, and even the kite back, front to back.
I think the kite back, that is the main concern here. For the side of Indonesia, they have one big engage tool. They have the Divine Judgment from Kaja. And if that doesn't work out, or if the Philippines put Purifies on their main core heroes, this is going to be a very difficult game for Indonesia if they want to try and snowball, if they want to try and wreak havoc in the plans of the Philippines. Because we know when it comes to those strategic, slow maneuvers, the Philippines have a bit of an edge. At least that's what the public will believe.
Well, we'll see how the match plays out here, Rashi, as we are going to get ready for the game. We're going to get ready to enter the portal, to enter
Oke, di sini kita langsung masuk ke gamenya aja, guys.
Indonesia on the opening match of day number 2. We're going to dive straight into the land of dawn, ladies and gentlemen, for Indonesia versus Philippines.
Indonesia versus Philippines.
It's going to be so important here.
Pindah dulu bro face
camnya.
right?
Any one of these teams, they can actually get an advantage, and if they do,
kita pindah di pojok atas ya guys ya. Oke, di sini komposisinya Indonesia Hijume memakai Faramis di posisi mid lane, Brans memakai Melissa di god lane, Kaja main roamer, Psychot offlaner dan hypernya Gusion ya guys ya.
A normal start, not really going for anything too aggressive early on. They both just want to clear their camps, get to a point where they can finally actually deal out some damage to burst and obviously use those power spikes well. Here, Arashi, with the pathing of both of the junglers, it does feel like they want to play towards the side laners a little bit early as well. We've also seen many times that Del Rosario on the utility junglers really likes to go and clear that gold.
Ini kuat gak ya take
that gold lane to help the Beatrix out.
Well, the early game, it's going to be so much pressure, so much for the roamers to do, right? Because in the early game, it's always about how the roamers can facilitate. Will they move towards the gold lane? Will they move towards the mid lane? You know, once you get one of your laners ahead, that will allow you to use that lane as the basis to make plays happen.
Well, here it is once again, 2 minutes in, and it's going to be Team Philippines who has a bit more
diarano game aja, gak usah
It's still going to be Del
Rosario
who secures the retribution on the turtle. Divine Judgment going to be popped in towards Padapop.
Kamera!
But it's not going to work.
That is a very, very tanky hero. And you can see that despite all the burst damage being used by the Indonesian team, you do see that the Lapu-Lapu, man, is just so tanky. And we've seen this from Malaysia yesterday, actually. Formaze able to 1v4. Maybe we'll see a similar play out for the Philippines in the bottom side.
2 minutes in, it's already a neutral
kamera nggak usah diarahin ke casternya bro, arahin ke gamenya aja bro.
Again, just to play it calmly, play it efficiently, and that's exactly what they need to do. They do not need to go for anything too aggressive here when they have the lead.
Oke, di sini Indonesia fokus farming aja guys ya.
They do have the Black Dragon form as well, so those objective takes are gonna be very much in their favor.
Lapu-Lapu sekarang OP coy. Udah di buff dia. Makanya dipakai cuy.
On the fact that they have a bit more crowd control and they have a lot more utility that they can actually abuse to force the Philippines into a tough spot.
Kenceng cok.
Go too aggressively, there is a Lapu-Lapu, there is a Valentina, so a lot of counter-engage potential from the side of the Philippines.
Well, here it is.
Oke, langsung di ulti. Dreams flicker. Oh, mati first blood ya guys ya. Ayo, jangan blunder bro.
Stealing away to the Divine Judgment and picking up another for Imam in the mid lane.
Yo, ayo cari lagi. Janganlah blunder lah, Indo. Ayo ipos.
Take out dreams and they hunt for stragglers afterwards. They have the tempo in the game right now.
Santai.
That is where the action will start building up. Because with pressure in all the lanes from the Philippines, they're gonna try and cut into the jungle and cut off members of Indonesia from their.
Harus ditempel terus ini.
I just really like how Soriano is taking this lane, is approaching this lane, this matchup.
Gak bisa kalau gak ditempel.
Against the Melissa, he knows exactly that he is going to lose out if he goes for these trades, if he goes for these 1v1 duels. So what he does is he swaps over to the Bennett just to clear out the waves, rotates over to help this team, and
langsung rotasi ke mid loh, Beatrixnya cok.
Because they're trying their best to actually funnel as much towards Soriano.
and if Soriano gets a bit more items, he can very easily start poking down members from the side of the Indonesians, because there's only one real tanky frontline member in Psychots, and if he is too low for a fight, it's going to be very difficult for the Indonesians to try and contest any kind of objective.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here, Villa Luna in
Waduh, sakitnya cuy.
lane. They're looking for some plays here up in the gold lane.
The gold lane for sure.
Aduh, nariknya salah.
Soriano picking up a kill, and now
Salah bro,
Dreams
nunggu
is
jungle-nya
going to
dulu
be very,
seharusnya.
very low. Gets out just barely here, but you can already see the cut coming in from Del
Buru,
Rosario.
cok.
Top side, there's gonna be flickers over under the tier 2. Dreams not using flicker just yet. Very wise to save that flicker, as he did have a bit of backup.
Oof. As we called it out, man, the side lane.
Kalah lane cuy. Duitnya sisi 3.000 sekarang guys. Atas bawah masih kalah ya posisinya. Bisa ini. Lapuk kuat cok.
The first structure, the first objective, and with that, they will have a lot more areas on the map to make plays around, and they do have a lot of very good catch.
This is it, Arashi. This is the meta that we have been mentioning about. The ultimate bonding experience where they group up as 5 into the mid lane. They start to just put in a lot of mid pressure so that they can actually have more room to play in the side waves. 4 members grouping up and always just dap-a-dop in that XP lane solo.
Villa Luna right now, though, has completed that Radiant Armor. That item reduces damage when it comes to multiple instances of damage. So against a Faramis, against a Kaja or the Gusion, it's going to be very good. But look at that.
Pick potential over
sakit cuy.
In, using so much damage.
Gila Fredrinya cuy, sakit ultinya babi.
Outplaying the situation, turning it completely
Gila sakit cuy ultinya Fredrin cuy.
It's looking bad for Indonesia, as that's going to be the 3rd turtle over to Philippines with no trades on the board, no turrets, no kills so far.
They put a trigger on that
Gila.
to try and force the Philippines' hand, but instead the Philippines has all the answers. A tanky front line, 2
santai, pelan-pelan bro, pelan-pelan.
That their member stays alive, and afterwards they can just chase and take out members of Indonesia one by one, and even then they go for the pressure, and it seems like the Indonesians, they have to try and make a huge play happen or a massive pickoff, but it's going to be very difficult because the positioning from the Philippines is way too good.
The setup, the positioning, and the trigger instantly onto Psychots, picking him up, baiting Indonesia over to that bottom side to pick up a free turret and 2 free kills in the process. It does feel like so far in this game,
Aduh mati lah.
a step, maybe even 2 steps ahead of Team Indonesia, as Dream's gonna get knocked up. Imam looking for that follow-up, just to zone Indonesia away from the tier 2 as they look to start sieging down on every single turret.
The damage difference right now from both teams is just so difficult to deal with. We mentioned how there's only one real frontline on the side of Indonesia, and look at what happens to him in a big fight. He gets taken out. The cult altar is so
Memang beneran cuy, ya mainnya serius cok.
And go on with their day. Soriano right now with the Malefic Roar completed.
Ayolah counter setup lah,
On top of the already insane amount of damage and burst that
6-0 loh.
to the table.
This is what Philippines loves to do when they're ahead, right? They use the distraction that is Dapadap, who's practically currently unkillable on that Lapu-Lapu. They use him as a distraction in the side lane, solo, picking up a turret. Meanwhile, they set
Aduh, ada
up
Valentina
on the
bisa
other
ngambil
side.
ultinya
Usually,
Kaja itu
they
yang
like to
repot
play on
cuy.
the opposite side and use the conceal to catch the enemies off guard. But there, you can see again, a curveball thrown over to Indonesia, or maybe Indonesia have done their research onto how Philippines likes to play with the lead. They
Aduh,
take another
kelihatan,
step
coy.
ahead, and they think 2
Kelihatan,
steps
coy.
ahead of Indonesia. Right now, again, it's going to be Divine Judgment coming in, but it's all
Gak
onto
mati,
the
nah
frontliners
mati
with a
gitulah.
lot of the resources burnt out. It's gonna be
Nah,
Soriano
gak mati
jumps
Brans,
in
nice
and
Brans.
finishes off Soriano in the back lines, splitting Philippines
Bisa mati nggak itu?
into
Bisa mati.
Imam now
Aduh, udah
flickering
flicker
out,
ya.
getting to safety, but all
Langsung
that
Lord
was
solo,
for
Lord
the
Fredrinya
Lord
bro,
to
bro.
2 kills
Gila,
over to
gila.
the Lord take. Arashi,
Fredrinya solo Lord loh.
Oof. I think considering the fact that the Philippines are so ahead and they are focusing now more than ever on taking all those structures away from Indonesia,
Bisa ya Fredrin
I think
solo
the
Lord
Lord
gitu
will
ya.
be very, very beneficial. unfortunately, they lose their gold laner as well, which is
Bisa sih pakai emblem jungle soalnya.
He is on 7,300 gold, as we mentioned, BOD and straight to a Malefic Roar, ensuring that anyone getting caught in his ultimates will get absolutely decimated.
What's another thing that I want to mention is the fact that the two kills that Indonesia picked up earlier was onto 2 members with no bounty. There was no shutdown there. So even though Indonesia were able to find some kills, it was just normal gold. It wasn't the added gold that we usually see.
Goldnya selisihnya masih jauh cuy, 6k cuy.
If it was a shutdown,
masih 6.000 goldnya coy. Ayolah Tas, mati sendiri kok Tas. Bisa gak bisa. Fredrin counter gusun banget coy.
Everyone is from the Philippines is available because the death timers are very very short and they are going for a siege here.
Ya jangan lupa di like guys ya. Jangan lupa dibantu di like ya guys ya, penyembah like kita guys. Jangan lupa like guys yang belum like guys.
It's a good defense by Indonesia. They're able to minimize their losses here, only losing that tier 2 in the mid lane for now. But Brands is going to be zoned away from that mid lane. Philippines.
Ya aduh ada yang konsil. Nice. Nice.
Psychots absolutely
nice. Yo, maju terus. Bisa push mid, bisa dapat mid. Nice, sudah dapat 3 cok. Psychot nih bos. Psychot nih bos. Ayo temenin tuh Gusonnya temenin cok. Nah.
And along with that, Taz is able to
lumayan. Dapat bawah. Selisih 2.000 kan sekarang duitnya.
They have recovered a bit of that gold difference. Only 2k right now, but the Philippines, they are still in the lead and they are no stranger to these late game situations.
Oh, bantu kajanya. Nice, santuy. Main kalem. Cari momen.
Honestly, looking at it right now, Rashi, Indonesia, their main win condition, we thought it would be Brands on that Melissa. We thought it was going to be the Gushin on the hands of Taz, but it's actually Psychots, the man that has been doubted so many times by everyone.
By the public. I mean, this man has had a very lackluster season.
Oke, setup di atas. 3 orang.
Season actually, rather. But here,
gak dapat konsilnya tadi ya.
Are relying very heavily on a very reliable engage.
Kasih info ini.
His has been critical, but after 2 engages,
nah, udah all in aja. Aduh, telat ya bro.
Oh my god.
Ultinya Faramis telat tadi. Kenapa nggak keluarin flicker aja ya Faramis tadi ya? Telat flickernya coy. Bisa nggak mati seharusnya Kaja itu tadi. Kajanya juga terlalu maju ya guys ya. Aduh tasnya di situ. Oke reset ternyata Lordnya reset. Waduh. Oh, sekut. Nggak mati coy. Nice Melissa. Nice, Lord.
Another kill over to Indonesia.
Nice, coy, Psychot, bro. This is Psychot, man.
They've taken back the lead if they actually can secure the Lord, which they should.
Gila, Psychocak, coy. King Psychot, the real King Psychot, bro.
Back off.
Anjas, dapat 2 tadi coy di bawah coy. Dapat mid, nice. Nah, gini lah bro. This is EPOS ya guys ya, EPOS.
After that play, they go for the purple buff as well. And the Philippines have a huge problem on their hands. The Black Dragon form will last for way too long. The Guiding Wind was used to try and buy make some distance, buy some more time, but it was not enough. The Philippines must come up with a different solution, a different answer.
A momentum shift in the 13th minute of the game. And now it's
dapat atas. Oke, dapat mid sama dapat atas ya. Dapat mid sama atas ya ini ya. Mid juga. Aduh, sakit. Langsung digas gitu aja. Santai bro. Nah, gak berani. Ya, dia maju tuh.
But it's gonna be a good disengage from Indonesia. Backing off, knowing that they
ngebet aja ternyata ya. Naganya tadi ngebet aja guys. Oke, di sini duitnya menang EVOS ya. Menang EVOS 1000 guys.
He goes in for the black dragon form, but he doesn't always use that petrify.
Minionnya bagus, minionnya bagus.
The petrify is what makes these
minionnya bagus, santai,
so
santai.
It guarantees the furious dive knockup, and that is what allows Indonesia to just be a lot more elusive. And as we talked about it earlier, this is what is so dangerous. They can feint around, act like they're about to engage a fight, and then back away. The Philippines need to identify the right moment.
Di open ya GY.
And fight after the black dragon form is down.
Di open ya GY. Oh, gak dapat. Aduh, Brans. Nice ultinya. Ultinya cocok. Ultinya.
The big tricks. Soriano taken down. Brans in the midst of it all. Still life stealing with his fighter.
Oh, rata bro. Rata bro. Kaja. Nice. Oke, Indonesia. Push mid yo. Ente GG Indonesia bro. Nice. Santai sekali lagi. Santai. 0-0 reset bro.
1-0 right now. They have shown that against all odds, against all the hate and the doubters, they are here to stay.
Give the MVP over to Psychos, man. Wow. What a performance and what a statement here.
Psychos MVP-nya, bro.
We predicted Philippines, man.
Gila.
Oh my goodness gracious.
The caster curse strikes again. You can never make the right prediction. It just does not work like that. Indonesia having an
bukan main.
Because the Philippines
GG.
What a performance here by Indonesia.
Awalnya keteteran memang coy. Tapi akhirnya Psycho menunjukkan eksistensinya ya bro ya sebagai offlaner terbaik di Indonesia ya guys ya saat ini bro. Perpaduan antara R7 dengan anti mage ya bro. Santuy. Ternyata naganya membawa kemenangan ya bro. Naganya bukan jadi naga bonar bro. Kelas. Psychots.
He did it once.
King Psychots.
But he didn't need to actually. All he needed to do was
bisa
flank.
Cuy.
So Soriano.
Kira tadi Bransnya mati loh. Kita lihat highlightnya tadi bro. MVP-nya Brans ternyata bro. Tadi di mid itu loh, perang di mid terakhir itu loh. Kukira Bransnya udah mati, cok. Padahal dia digas sama lapu-lapu tadi kan. Melisanya tuh. Nah ini nih.
Put all the resources on shutting down Psychots, and Psychots turns out to be the main problem for them to deal with. In the late game as well, having an assassin in the early game is a bit difficult because especially against a Fredrin, a fighter in the jungle, it's a bit of a tough matchup. But in the late stages of the game, where you're
ini naga nih, ini dapat dua nih.
Source of damage
belum. Bukan yang ini.
In the blink of an eye, is definitely an advantage that Indonesia has put to an absolute.
Gila counter setupnya bro.
Look at the replay again. First 10 minutes was one-sided, with Philippines absolutely dominating the neutral objective game, and even a turret.
Dapat dua tuh Psychot bro.
With this one play,
gila tuh. Dapat dua bro. Nah ini.
It practically sealed the deal for their comeback. Philippines got a bit too greedy.
Nah ini dapat dua ini.
Looking to fight constantly when again. The way they were able to dominate early
ini rata sih ini. Ini momen comebacknya Iesf bro. Nah ini loh. Brasnya tuh udah diincer lapu coy. Tapi ternyata nggak mati loh. Nggak mati kan? Nggak mati Brasnya cok. Life steal-nya kenceng banget tuh. Gila.
Brands was able to be saved by the called altar and
mau main meta tabrak bro. Gile aja. Ada Paramis nih bos. Gila MVP-nya Brands bro. MVP-nya Brands ternyata. Dengan kekuatan desa Brand bisa menjadi MVP ya bro.
an absolute beast, man. But we have to give the player spotlight over to
Ini si
Psychot.
spotlightnya bener si
It's not
Psycho. Cak bro jadi
definitely
player
Psychot.
spotlight anjir.
He has one death.
He has one
Gila-gila
death
aja nih,
on
bos.
Even though he's always diving into that back line, trying to create plays for his team. And personally for me, I would actually say that Psychot is my MVP, right? The performance, the way that he led his team to victory on that Yuzong, a pick that we haven't seen here so far in ISF.
Psychot sih
in the
MVP-nya
first
seharusnya.
day. Coming into the second with their unique draft. A lot of people doubted them as well, but they definitely showed the world that you can't take them lightly. This new revamped EVO
Gila
team
sih.
for Indonesia.
Look at his items. Only the
Dapet coklat ternyata Waisnya bro.
Afterwards, it's all defensive because that is his main role. We were concerned because of it, but in a way they made it work. Only one front line, it doesn't matter because the back line from the Philippines is not safe either. Look at Taz with the full inventory slot. One more item to go actually, but with the Genius one and Glowing one combo, his daggers are doing a lot of damage and he has penetration and the Holy Crystal to boot. So at this point, without adequate protection, there is
Ternyata
no
masih
solution
atas nama
for
itunya ya.
Soriano to survive
Gak
the
diganti
damage.
squad, nama squadnya
Put matters
masih
first.
klubnya,
If he is
timnya
too
guys.
vision on
Gua
Taz,
kira diganti
then Cyclops
Indonesia
will
gitu
take
loh.
him out. So the mix of
Ina
damage
gitu.
and the mix of problems that
Ternyata
Indonesia
masih
can
EVOS
keep
bro
showing
squadnya
and
bro.
flashing
EVOS
as
nih bos.
makes it very
EVOS nih
difficult
bos.
for them to get a very easy adjustment.
EVOS nih
Very
bos.
good game by both of the sides, but
Ini EVOS
again, I
menang
do
langsung
feel
beli
like
jersey-nya
in
coy.
the end, it was just
Sumpah.
a battle of strategies, right? It was a battle of styles, honestly, a clash of styles where for Team Philippines, they really like to go for those macro plays, early dominance, and for Team Indonesia, in very true Indonesian fashion, like to team fight. They go in for these coin flip plays, coin flip team fights when they're behind because they've got nothing to lose. At that point, they only had their base turrets left to play with. So that flank,
Gile-gile
from Psychot,
aja bos.
the way he was able to position in that bush to find that opening amongst the vision that was
Against
controlled
Blacklist.
fully by Team Philippines was amazing. He found that little gap and he utilized it so well to create that chance.
This is a team that is so patient and calculative in the late game, and Psychot somehow was able to actually, I don't know, supersede their expectations. This is the X factor that we keep talking about when we talk about these very dynamic, very explosive
Young
teams.
players.
Young players, right? The young blood really shows
Young
through.
players.
So
Bentar
in
bro.
Game number 2, in a way, right? Both teams do not have to change anything in the drafts because they have a solid game plan, but now it's up to Indonesia, I think. Do they want to suffer the same painful, slow
Early game.
or do they want to try and take matters into their own hands? We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I think we can both agree that in game number 1, the reason Indonesia was able to come back was because of a crazy play by Psychot. If that hadn't happened, I feel like Philippines might have been able to actually take the game pretty easily, like we mentioned. The first 10 minutes was completely controlled by Philippines. So this is where Team Indonesia really needs to think it over. Do they really want to go through that grueling early game again up against Philippines, who are notorious to play that objective game and take it slow? And this time, they're going to have to risk Philippines already knowing how they like to go for these flanks.
Exactly, because for the Philippines, they have a lot of adjustments available for them. They can go for different solutions, different battle spells, as we were talking about earlier. So I think, as you mentioned, if things were going just fine, they had more poke, they can actually use the sniper from Beatrix to just slowly but surely take out those objectives, those turrets, and that's just how the Philippines like to play, right? Slow and steady, but they usually win the race. So now I think Indonesia, they might just go for something even crazier, I think, because there's no way they go and exceed your expectations and then they go back down, right? It doesn't really make sense.
It is a best of 3, so the teams will have time to dissect their mistakes for both Philippines and Indonesia. But I do feel like from the draft, Philippines, like you mentioned, the front to back was the win condition that really shined for them, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the early stages of the game, they were able to give Soriano so much space in that back line on the Beatrix to create all these chances to happen, to siege turrets down like it's nothing, because it's a Beatrix. With the Renner, with the Bennett, clear waves super easily, taking turrets down like it's nothing. But they need to start utilizing that a bit more. They need to stop looking for these team fights, I believe, and start sticking to, again, the win condition that has got them so far into that game already. 10 minutes in, complete control. Through what?
wave
team
control.
fights.
I think wave control is the main issue here, because we see that the Philippines, they use a lot of resources to ensure that they have all that pressure and they can be at the right place at the right time before the Indonesians can. So I think that is something that Indonesians will have caught wind of as well. They will have adjustments to deal with this wave clear now, and we have to see, without that wave pressure, can the Philippines mimic the same kind of domination in that early game?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into game number 2, we're going to take a short break right here. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, because we'll be back right after this.
Berapa menit ini? Breaknya berapa menit nih, bro? Oh, ini PUBG nih. Ini breaknya berapa menit, bro? Wah, curang itu. Kita sambil main aja dulu, guys, ya. Sambil nunggu, bro. Wah, curang itu. Kita sambil main aja dulu, guys, ya. Sambil nunggu, bro. Wah, curang itu. Kita sambil main aja dulu, guys, ya. Sambil nunggu, bro. Kok dengerin suara sendiri, anjir. Wah, curang itu. Kita sambil main aja dulu, guys, ya. Tolol. Kita sambil main aja dulu, bro. Gile-gile aja, bro. Berapa menit ya breaknya ya? Kita sambil nunggu, kita main brawl aja, guys. Anjas. Tadi saya kocak pakai Yuzong, kita pakai Yuzong ya, guys, ya. Kita kasih tahu Yuzong terkuat di Tuban.
Kebaikan adalah pintu gerbang kehancuran.
Kasih tahu lah. Kok punya skin ini ya? Dapat dari mana, coy, skin ini, coy?
Aku akan mengkhianati dunia
Skin basic
daripada membiarkanku dikhianati olehnya.
Berapa menit lagi? 3 menit lagi. AFK berarti habis ini, coy. 3 menit lagi, bro.
to Mobile Legends. Five seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them. All troops deployed.
Jangan ganggu aku, atau kamu akan menderita.
First blood. Enemy has been slain.
Gila kita yang kena, bro. Ai.
An enemy has been slain.
Anjir. Nggak mati, bro.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. You have slain an enemy. You have slain an enemy.
Nice.
Benar atau salah, hanya sebab dan akibat.
Killing spree.
Oh, nggak mati, nggak mati. Nice.
Enemy has been slain.
Aku tidak peduli jika satu dunia menentangku.
Ult is not ready.
Aku? Tidak. Kaulah yang menempatkan dirimu dalam bahaya.
Mega kill. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Anjay, anjay.
Enemy triple kill. An enemy has been slain.
Maniak Rogernya, bro, bro, gila-gila aja, bro, nih tim-timnya ini. Ampas betul, ampas betul.
Keadilan. Kata yang indah.
Anjir, anjir, ultinya tek lama, cok. Aduh, digaruk-garuk, cuy. Gile-gile aja Rogernya, cuy. Baru 2 item dia, cuy. Ah, flicker tuh dia tuh.
Aku hanya memperlihatkan
Santai.
asliku.
Mati sini.
Jika diperlukan.
Atek.
Aku tidak peduli pendapatmu mengenai tujuanku. Pada Black Dragon telah bangkit.
You have slain an enemy.
Kamu tidak bisa lari dari takdir.
An enemy has been slain. Shut down.
Mati, bro, macem-macem kok sama Yuzong.
Double kill.
Gile-gile aja lu.
Sifat keras kepala.
Your team destroyed a turret.
Dragon Altar adalah penyebab kehancuran Edia Ridgeline.
Enemy has been slain.
Mati kon.
Sebentar lagi
Ally has been slain.
Anjir sakitnya cuy Rogernya. Gila Safek coy.
Well played.
Gila, bener-bener tuh.
Our inhibitor turret is under attack.
Santai-santai, ada Yuzong bro, tenang.
Black Dragon telah bangkit.
Anjir Rogernya sakit cuy. Gila dia udah DAS bro. GG Rogernya.
Our base is under attack.
Apa yang tidak membunuh akan membuatmu semakin kuat.
Enemy has been slain. Double kill.
Tidak ada harapan. Black Dragon telah bangkit.
Enemy gone.
Bentar lagi dunia akan tunduk pada pemerintah.
Enemy has been slain.
Anjir.
Enemy double kill. Shut down. Enemy triple kill. Launch attack. Enemy maniac.
Punya ampas banget coy.
Our base is under attack. Legendary. Shut down.
Tidak mungkin. Dragon Alpha adalah penyebab kehancuran media Rimland. Tidak ada harapan bagi
Enemy has been slain. Enemy has been slain. Double kill. Enemy has been slain. Wiped out.
Comeback gak sih bro?
apa yang tidak membunuhku akan membuatku semakin kuat.
Your team destroyed the turret.
Jangan, kamu tidak bisa.
Slain.
Gak ada damage coy. Tuh, berat. Gila Rogernya coy. Bantai-bantai Roger bro. Ini belum selesai ya, belum main-main coy.
Base is under attack.
Dibantai-bantai Roger bro.
Defeat.
Kenapa lagi nih? Masih belum main, bro. Masih belum main kah? Salah mainnya coy. Berapa lagi lah guys? Coba pakai Iesf ya.
Di antara semua dimensi ada keseimbangan. Aku diciptakan untuk itu.
Welcome to Mobile Legends! Five seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them! All troops deployed!
Keinginanku hanyalah memusnahkan mereka.
First,
Nice. Exekat.
ult is ready. Double kill! Enemy has been slain! Triple kill! Wiped out.
Keseimbangan harus terus dijaga.
Ult is not ready.
Anjir execute coy. Asli lolitanya. Kombonya masuk bro.
Ada banyak sekali dimensi. Jumlahnya tak terhitung.
Santai.
Enemy has been slain. Ally has been slain. Enemy has been slain.
jalan untuk kabur. Yang aku pedulikan ada
Ult is not ready.
Rano sing over loh. Udah draft pick, bro. Habis ini.
Killing spree.
aku melihat suramnya kehidupan.
Ally has been slain. Mega kill. Double kill. Shut down. Our turret is under attack. Ult is ready. An ally has been slain. You have been slain. An ally has been slain. An ally turret is under
Anjir, susah ya pakai Iesf, cuy.
Our turret has been destroyed.
Melisa ampas Melisanya, coy.
Aku melihat peradaban yang bangkit dan hancur. Yang aku pedulikan adalah apa yang harus aku lakukan.
Wait. There is an enemy has been slain.
Aku melihat
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Killing. Shut down. An ally has been slain.
para pencipta akan mati sama seperti ciptaan mereka. Tidak ada jalan untuk kabur. Aku adalah musuh alami mereka.
You have slain an enemy.
Bisa dihindari.
An ally has been slain.
Sulit untuk
Ally has been slain. Initiate killing spree. Launch attack.
keseenak.
Ally has been slain. Shut down. Enemy double kill. Initiate retreat. An enemy has been slain.
Nice.
Yang aku pedulikan adalah apa yang harus aku lakukan. Tidak ada jalan untuk kabur.
Anjir, langsung mati, bro.
Launch attack. An enemy has been slain. Launch attack.
Para pencipta akan mati sama seperti ciptaan mereka. Aku melihat peradaban yang bangkit dan hancur. Tidak ada jalan untuk kabur.
Ally has been slain.
Nggak mati bro.
Akan di
Ah ente lah. Ente bro, kita fokus restream lagi bro.
But due to that action, Psychots was able to actually be relatively impactful in the game, despite a very rough early game as well. So maybe I was thinking that they might just change their area of focus. But now with the ban towards Brands here, it seems like they are planning on doing the same thing, just better, just cleaner.
Well, in game number 1, they banned out the Leslie and the Claude. So that means with the Melissa ban, one of those heroes will be left to open. Leslie and Claude, which are both lethal in the hands of Bronze, right? And looking at how he played the lane, honestly, I do feel like Philippines might want to give Indonesia the Claude, ban the Leslie, right? Because Leslie will create more problems for them, especially if Brands gets to farm as he usually does. He's so good at playing it slow, farming to get those power spikes. And now we're going to have to see what they go for in the bans right now. And Rashi, what do you think it's going to be?
Ooh, Valentina has been banned away from Indonesia, by Indonesia actually. So Philippines, they won't have that kind of flexibility available to them. So it's interesting to see what exactly will be the solution, especially for that Iesf. Not a lot of heroes can match that mid-range coming in, that long-range artillery and utility. So they might just go the opposite direction and go for something aggressive, something that can just be a big problem, a big kill pressure, kill threat for that Iesf. On the side of the Philippines though, they go for that Claude ban instead. So Leslie is the option.
Hyper Fredrin lagi ternyata ya bro.
Alright. That's something that I personally don't agree with.
Hero-heronya sih nggak jauh beda sama yang tadi ya.
This
Tapi ini
Leslie's
dapat
create
Iesf.
more problems for them.
True
Remembering
damage.
that Philippines already have a taunt, already have some CC, and they already have very good disengage. With the Mathilda, the Claude won't really be able to catch
Valentina
up.
di ban aja sih, Lapu juga.
But I feel like Philippines are looking at it
Oke lah.
in another way. They're looking at that Iesf, they're looking at that Divine Judgment from the Kaja and the Furious Dive. Obviously, with the Petrify from the Yuzong. All these three heroes can lock people down for the Claw to deal so much damage. And this team fight hero is going to fit really well in Indonesia's composition. So Philippines, they're already changing a few things here now, hovering over the Faramis to go to the mid lane into the hands of
Hero-heronya Brands tiga-tiganya di ban, cok.
Faramis was also one of the reasons
Cloud,
as to why
Melissa sama
they were
Anman
able to
bro.
melt the Indonesian members down.
Not just melt the Indonesian
Sana
members
ngeban
down,
hero-nya
also
Venus
the reason
sama
why they
Edward.
lost that fight where they were able to keep Indonesia was able to keep Brands alive.
Hero-nya
using the
Venus
Cold
satu,
Altar.
hero-nya
Of course,
Imam
on the
satu,
back of a very
Haji
great play from
satu,
Brands himself. But with the
Haji
Faramis
dua.
in the picture, the Philippines have a lot more.
Ini Brands pakai apa ya guys ya? Pakai Beatrix kah? Clean sih. Gak bisa sih kalau clean.
And now with the Cold Altar, that extra bit, that second chance
Apa ya?
in the middle of a big fight. But for Indonesia, having more control on
Gila
where
Jamet
the
bro,
Philippines can
James.
that might be a better solution. They have banned away the Lapu-Lapu as well, so the dive potential from Philippines is very, very minimal, and we have to see what exactly will be the choice here, because for the Philippines, it seems to be the same thing. Front to back all the way, abuse range,
Leslie
save
sih,
up
ya,
for
ya, ya.
members, and just like that, the answer from Indonesia,
Yep.
Leslie, and now it's the Akai.
Well, now considering that they have these two very
Hey,
vulnerable
Akai.
backline heroes, they need something like the Akai to provide a
Bisa,
bit
bisa, bisa,
more
bisa, bisa. Yuk, bisa yuk.
for the team. But Philippines respond with Grok
Hyper
in the
Grok.
jungle for Del Rosario.
What?
We mentioned that he likes to go for some crazy picks
Hyper
sometimes, like the
Grok,
Valentina,
cok.
the Guinevere as well in the jungle. While he's trying to pull off the Grok in the jungle now here in Iesf. Last time we saw it, it was high.
It was high and it
Tapi
was
sana
a
dapat
very
Paramis sih.
because
PH dapat Paramis.
earlier in the game number 1 we saw that for Indonesia they had an
Jadi
assassin,
ya
right?
tabrak-tabrak
And that
sih
assassin was
berani
critical
sih
because in the
Filipina.
late fights you saw that Soriano was just unable to get anywhere safe. He was chased away by the Black Dragon form and he was deleted by Taz on the Gushin. Now, with an Akai instead of a Gushin, can Indonesia get the same kind of pressure onto Soriano?
Well, that question will be answered very, very soon as we enter the game, Arashi. But this time, I think we can agree that we want to see the best of 3 go all the way.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
this time, me and Arashi will be predicting Indonesia to win, to use the caster curse to get the most
Oke, di sini
value out of this
kita lanjut ke
incredible
babak
series.
kedua antara Indonesia melawan Filipina ya guys ya. Di sini kita langsung lihat komposisinya Indonesia. Di mid lane-nya ada memakai hero Iesf dan roamernya memakai hero Kaja dan offlanernya memakai hero Yuzong dan hypernya Akai dan marksman-nya di god lane ada Brans memakai Lashley ya guys ya. Di sini kita lihat komposisi dari Filipina.
And just like that,
Di sini mid lane-nya pakai Faramis dan PH-nya pakai Mathilda, god lane-nya pakai Beatrix dan offlaner-nya pakai Fredrin dan hyper-nya pakai Hyper Grow. Oke, di sini kita lihat sangat menarik ya draft pick-nya dari dua kebelah tim ini. Karena ya kita sudah tahu lah PH itu meta-metanya meta-meta aneh, Cok. Jadi hero-nya suka-suka dia lah. Hyper Grow kayak gitu-gitu. Dia menciptakan meta sendiri PH ya guys ya. Tapi kita harus tetap mendukung Indonesia ya guys ya, karena kita tuh Indo Pride bro, kita cinta produk lokal men. Indo Pride bro.
as we mentioned, the wave clear game is now.
Apalagi yang mewakili Indonesia adalah tim Iesf ya guys ya. Tim kebanggaan kita semua ya guys ya.
To suffer the same fate again. So right now, they're just moving around, and I think before the first response, it's gonna be relatively slow.
Oh nice, Saikot. Aduh, langsung mati dong. Oh dapat capek. Tuh mati juga tuh. Mati, nice, gak apa-apa. Untung dapat core. Untung sih dapat core. Mundur tas. Untung sih dapat hyper. Bisa setup turtle.
Holding their own, but this is where things get a bit hairy. The first turtle, where everyone has their ultimates, we have to see who.
Gak ada ulti ya, groknya gak ada ulti tuh.
No ultimate for Del Rosario just now.
Tariklah salah satu, nice. Mundur kalau bisa mundur. Sakit itu. Langsung digas. Oh dapat. Aduh, nice, gak apa-apa. Nice try. Cari lagi.
Members here and backs off.
Back away, and we can take a look at how the changes have impacted.
Udah flicker ya.
The cult altar
tadi
was used in that fight, and with one single
itu Faramisnya
the
flicker
rest of the
tadi.
team from
Dreams
Indonesia
juga
is able to melt
flicker.
down that HP bar. So it really isn't an all-win team fight solution, but it is very
Brans
situationally used to
ambil minion
help
tengah.
save members from big burst damage.
Main lane tengah bawah aja sih. Tuh sakit tuh mati tuh. Nice. Ulti dari Hijume. Keren sekali, bro. Di sini skor dipimpin oleh Indonesia 2-1 ya guys ya. Santai.
With stronger laners on the hands of the Indonesian
Nah,
players,
Saikot
they
itu
are now able to actually match the aggression, the fights, the
bagus,
skirmishes
coy,
from
mainin
the members
lane-nya,
of the
coy.
Philippines. And now you can see that the Kaja pick is just having a lot more impact. This is what they wanted to do in game number 1, but
Oke, seta bawah. Bayang-bayangi Madildanya, seta bawah. Kalkaja ada ulti. Tarik Beatrix-nya aja sih. Nah, plating, kasih plating Leslie. Nice, Leslie dapat plating. Oke, mundur dulu. Oke, nice.
You also are really good at actually going at duels up against the Beatrix.
Oke.
Say in a 1v1, it's skill dependent, but Leslie has a bit of
Fredrinnya ke mid ya, udah setup di mid ya. Fredrinnya. Info. Fredrin missing ada di mid, Fredrin. Setup turtle, ayo Yuzong. Nice Yuzong, siap naga nih.
succeeded, it will be a big factor in the next fight.
Siap naga,
Turtle
siap naga,
is being
siap
pressured
naga.
from both teams.
Santai, santai,
It seems
santai
like the
dulu.
Indonesians will have a
Nunggu
bit
grok,
of
nunggu
a
grok, nunggu
lead
grok.
in the
Oh,
control.
tuh, dapat tuh. Dapat. Udah ulti ya, udah ulti ya. Udah ulti ya.
Still able to secure the turtle right now. Psychot jumps in with the black dragon form, zoning the backline away.
Tuh.
Top it up,
Mati,
gonna be
mati,
pinned down onto
Fredrin-nya.
the wall with the heavy spin.
Fredrin mati, Fredrin.
And that's Hijume
Ya udah.
who picks up the killing spree.
Nice.
Everything
Jangan
going
terlalu
well.
jumawa, jangan terlalu nafsu ya guys ya. Udah dapat satu mundur aja bro. Kalau memang tidak memungkinkan ya guys ya. Jangan sampai blunder ya Indonesia ya. Udahlah jangan recall bro. Fokus aja main men. Recall aja nih Dream Show. Ngebet aja. Awas lo kalau ke comeback nih ya. Nah, dapat bawah sih. Nggak dapat cuy. Oke. Leslie kalau udah dapat plating enak nih. Tinggal atur posisi aja nih Leslie. Waduh dapat Beatrix-nya bro kelomangnya. Udah sakit tuh EV-nya. Tuh mati lagi tuh groknya. Nice, dapat grok. Untung. Dapat lagi nih. Dapat lagi Imam ini. Dapat lagi nih. Oke, nice. Mundur bawah aja. Hati-hati ada Fredrin. Tas mundur. Nice. Oke, dipotong atas. Untung sini. Udah bingung nih Filipina. Dapat bawah. Gak bisa bro, masih belum bisa bro. Dapat atas ini. Dapat atas, nice. Dapat bawah juga.
With the heavy spin, so Indonesia's pick-off game is going exactly how they wanted to, and right now they also have the advantage when it comes to
missing Matilda missing. Itu info tuh. Oke, setup di mid.
They also have the Leslie. They can do a lot of true damage up to 2k in a single hit, and in the late game Soriano will have a lot of issues trying to get any impact done in the middle of a big team fight.
Setup di turtle. 2 kali turtle ya Indonesia ya. 2 kali turtle ya. Apakah 3 kali turtle nih? Kita nantikan saja bro. Oke, dapat ya 3 kali turtle ya. Oke, langsung digas aja. Udah ulti. Nah, tuh dimajuin bro. Mundur agak bisa. Hati-hati ulti grok. Bawa lagi.
But it's a good disengage by both teams. It's still a small victory for Indonesia with that turtle take.
Look at how much movement, how much
Tor.
reaction you can see
Dapat
from
push
the
bawah.
players whenever Psychots is on the map, whenever he makes an appearance. He wasn't even popping the black dragon.
Oke, dapat bawah.
Everybody was walking
Nice.
backwards in fear of that engage coming.
Oke, kelomang dapat kelomang Tor.
You are not looking at Taz with a heavy spin. You are not looking at Dreams waiting for that divine judgment.
Sini Evos jangan main gegabah ya guys ya. Main sabar aja dulu bro.
I wonder how much gold he's actually gone this game. So far
Di sini kalau groknya dapat momen itu bahaya ya. Dapat lagi ya bro ya. Capit langsung mamen. Oke, nice Dreams. Nice. Udah selesai. Dor. Aduh, Ijume mundur Ijume. Psychot langsung di belakang Psychot. Oke, dapat 2 bro. Gila Psychot. Psychot bro. Dari belakang bro Psychot men. Gila. The real Psychot, King Psychot ya. King Psychot bro.
He was the one coming in from behind. You barely notice it until it's
Gila,
way too
men.
late. Let's take a look at that replay right now.
Gila tuh Psychotnya dari belakang tuh. Dapat 2 bro di tower bro. Gila, Beatrix-nya dapat.
Indonesia able to actually push Philippines
Psychot. Ternyata Psychot menunjukkan taringnya ya bro ya.
They are looking at a cruising victory in game number 2.
Ternyata Psychot bukan kaleng-kaleng ya bro ya.
Unreal.
Ini yang kalian hujat-hujat bro. Mohon maaf bro. King Psychot nih bro. Perpaduan antara R7 dan anti mage men. Oke, dapat Lord ya.
super well.
Dapat telur dia.
Now they're rotating towards that top side. Taz
Oke,
so
set up.
Lord Del Rosario caught
Atas.
no one.
Dah mati tuh. Mati tuh, ulti. Dor. Gak dapat.
Brand still is able to get out. Has the flicker. They're gonna go in for another re-engage here. Just some
Udah
poke
sakit
down
ini
onto
Iesf ini.
the frontliners.
Iesf sudah duitnya udah menang 6.000 ya.
I really wonder what the items are looking
Udah
like
6
right
dari
now because the damage
oh sekarang
is
selisih
pretty
7.000 ya
unreal
duitnya ya.
already in 9 minutes for a Leslie.
It comes with a true damage, and when you're concerned about a true damage, you can actually feel the burn coming in as
Look at
well. Look at the items, as you mentioned. The Windtalker,
Oke, dapat tower dulu.
allows him to get
Santai.
so much more burn.
Jangan gerak tambahan. Tunggu momen yang bener-bener pas, bro.
On the other hand, you see the Yi,
Leslie, hati-hati, Leslie.
Hijumi with the
Leslie, hati-hati.
wand. All these tanky members are
Leslie,
taking
hati-hati,
percentage
Leslie.
HP damage whenever he's
Oke, objective gaming.
And the siege game is dangerous.
Gak ada inisiasi sih. Hero Philippine gak ada inisiasi. Grognya soalnya retri, bro. Gak bisa flicker ulti tuh. Langsung dimajuin aja sama King Psychot, bro, biar dapat tower bawah. Ya, mundur. Nice. Decision yang sangat bagus ya dari Psychot ya. Dia ulti cuma buat mancing aja biar dapat tower, bro. Oke. Di sini kayaknya ngebet. Hero dive in semua Filipin soalnya, nggak ada hero. Hero inisiatornya nggak ada, cuman Fredrin aja sih inisiatornya. Udah. Itu pun kalau Fredrin inisiatornya tuh harus bener-bener bisa make skill 3-nya ya, skill tahunnya itu.
Indonesia having control the whole 10 minutes early on. Philippines with a very similar flanking position here.
Udah buka ya.
It's going to be a concealed play from Indonesia. Oh my God, Dream finds the divine judgment onto the best possible
nice,
target.
bro.
Soriano's out. Tap it up. Has the flicker out.
Nice.
Chases
Mati
him
gak tuh?
down with a passive.
Mati gak tuh? Mati. Enggak mati, bro. Fredrinnya.
But that might just be the member.
Tapi mati ya Beatrixnya. Nice Kaja. Nice Dreams. Dapat mid. Nice, bro. Gila, udah sakit. Leslie-nya udah sakit. Leslie-nya udah sakit. GG Indonesia ya, guys ya. Nice try. Makan tai, bro. GG.
How? What? Oh my Lord. We have no words left right
santai.
now. How was that possible?
Santai, bro.
That is insane.
Cukup
from
2-0.
Indonesia. The awareness to know where are the members.
Cukup 2-0 aja, gak usah banyak-banyak, bro.
In the middle of everything.
Cukup 2-0, santai, bro. Easy, man, easy. Mamam tuh. Mamam tuh. Itu yang kau jago-jagokan Filipin. Makan tinja tuh. Mamam tuh. Saya kocak, bro.
The caster curse has broken, by the way.
They broke the caster curse, but
makan tinja.
By an Indonesian team that was doubted, that
Absolutely
was hated,
doubted.
that was.
Cuman gini aja Filipin, bro. Jauh-jauh ke Bali. Cuman gini aja, bro. Saya kocak nih, bos. Saya kocak sih MVP-nya sih. Gila, Psycho 2 game gendong, cuy. Momen-momennya dapat terus, cok. Nah, ini. Mana replaynya, bro? Bang, replaynya mana, bang? Ngomong mulu kok jadi caster, bro. Diem kenapa? Nah, tuh. Ijume MVP-nya. Iya sih, Ijume sih. Ijume-nya nggak mati sama sekali ya kalau nggak salah ya. Ultinya posisinya mantep cuy, Ijume cuy.
Call me biased because I'm a Iesf player, but I think it's an absolutely
Gila sih,
strong
Tas
team
juga
at this point in
ultinya
time.
Akainya
The
itu
utility is just so
nyapit-nyapitnya
good.
itu loh bro.
And right now with the increase in the
Tuh,
slow amount.
kena terus cuy nyapitnya cuy. Grog gak bisa main coy. Ini Dreams tarik Grog ini. Nah langsung dicapit bro. Gila tuh. Gak bisa gerak mamen. Ini Psycho dari belakang. Psycho Naga Bonar langsung Petri dapat 3. Gila. Psycho nih bos. Ini nih dapat Dreamsnya dapat nih. Dapat Beatrix tuh. Gila di flicker ulti langsung bro. Nice try langsung dong Filipin bro.
What a performance with the divine judgment with 2 games.
Gila. Dari awal tuh Brasnya udah free banget itu. Dia udah sakit bro. Hero-nya siapa namanya? Hero-nya Filipina itu kurang inisiator menurutku ya guys ya. Inisiatornya itu cuman ada Fredrin doang coy, CC-nya coy. Groknya itu pun yang main core. Dia gak bisa initiate combo gitu. Biasanya kan enak kalau flicker ulti tuh bisa dapat. Ini cuman pakai retri, bro. Pasif lah. Grok hyper. Udah kalah di awal soalnya. Kita tonton ya guys ya. Oke, MVP-nya Hijum ya guys ya. Dia kill 3, mati 0 dan assist 8. Spotlight-nya siapa nih spotlight-nya? Mas, apakah masih Psycho? Apakah masih Psycho? Apakah masih Psycho, bro? Kita tonton aja, bro. Dreams ternyata player spotlight-nya. Ini ada wawancaranya nggak sih guys? From the side of Indonesia, and when your engage tools are this solid or this dynamic, you don't really have to do much. Everyone else needs to. Terlalu easy ya Filipina ya. Time and the right moment, and they are. Cuman gini aja bro, Filipina bro. Gila aja. And as we mentioned, I think it's just a matter of adjustments. The Iesf nih tanggung jawab bro. Indonesia itu memberi slot kepada Iesf karena ya Iesf tanggung jawab bro. Kita lihat aja pertandingannya tuh. PH dikasih kosong bro sama Iesf. Makan tuh lihat tuh. Dapat coklat tuh. Mana si Wise tuh? Dapat coklat tuh. Haji tuh. Dapat 3-3 kosong bro. Nggak main tuh Faramisnya. Catat ya counter blacklist sekarang Iesf bro. Catat ya. Catat kalian semua ya, counter blacklist tuh Iesf ya di Indo ya. Catat tuh. Mamam tinja tuh. Udahlah, fokus M-word aja. Fokus M-word aja udah. Ini ada wawancaranya nggak sih?
I think again comes down to that gold lane, right? Yes. The Leslie was so good. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to throw it over to our host to take it over right here from the caster desk. Let's see what he has to say.
Ada wawancaranya nih. Lele. Kok transisinya ke sini lagi, bro? Oke, di sini ada wawancara dari King Brands ya guys ya.
Oke, kita sudah bersama Brands, perwakilan dari tim Indonesia yang sudah memenangkan game pertama between Indonesia and Filipina on first match of today. 14 World Esports.
Bang, mic.
Gimana hari ini? Expect nggak hasil seperti ini?
Pastinya ya kita kan udah latihan kayak gimana ya, jadi kita juga expect lah pasti bisa menang Filipina, soalnya ya udah ada libur segala macam, kita latihan benar-benar fokus buat match hari ini dan kedepannya ya alhamdulillah bersyukur.
Dari strategi yang kamu rencanakan bersama teman-teman, apakah semuanya bisa tereksekusi dengan baik?
Alhamdulillah hari ini bisa tereksekusi dengan baik melawan Filipina, cuma kan ini namanya turnamen panjang ya, kita tetap harus fokus ke match-match kedepannya.
Adakah lawan yang ingin kamu jumpai dengan teman-teman? untuk nextnya, atau siapa yang paling pengen dijumpai?
Ya paling ya tetangga-tetangga kita aja. Malaysia kan ada mantan coach satu juga dan juga Filipina kita pengen ketemu lagi lah di grand final.
Alright guys, itu tadi dari Brans ya. Sekali lagi congratulations bro for winning the first match of
Congratulations untuk Indonesia EVOS Esport ya. Oke, wawancaranya gitu aja guys ya.
Bali 2020.
Oke, sekian dulu live ku ya guys ya, Restreamnya ya guys ya. Thank you semuanya udah nonton, yang udah like. Kita ketemu lagi besok ya. Gak tau lah kapan lagi Indo main ya. Bye bye guys, thank you semuanya.